Hey guys, my name is Elizabeth Johnson, and today I'll be giving my persuasive speech over school uniforms. The general purpose of today's speech is to obviously persuade, and I want to persuade y'all that children wearing a uniform to school daily is easier than having to pick out clothes every single day. Wearing a uniform to school is not only more cost efficient, but easier on the students as well, because it takes away the hassle of trying to get ready every day. So, how many of you have had to wear a uniform at any point of your educational career? I had to wear one while I was in middle school and elementary school. So whenever I got to high school and was free to wear whatever I wanted, it was a little bit of a culture shock. And whenever I was in middle school and most of my elementary school career, I felt like I was in a prison because I wasn't able to express my true self. Looking back, I wish I was able to wear uniforms for a longer period of time in high school because it took the guesswork out of what I had to wear every single day and decreased bullying by a lot. In a growing number of school districts across the nation, students must wear a school uniform. This is not the stereotypical school uniform associated with Catholic schools, which include a pleated or plaid skirt with a blouse for girls and a button-down shirt with a tie and slacks for boys. Instead, it's mainly blue pants and khakis and some type of polo shirt. According to the United States Department of Education, wearing a uniform decreases the risk of violence, theft, and instilled discipline to help school officials recognize intruders who come into schools. So, why should you care? That's a good question. According to procon.com, uniforms provide discipline, self-esteem, and self-respect. They focus attention upon learning and away from such distractions as fashion competition and gang intimidation. Requiring uniforms enhances school security by permitting identification of non-students who try to enter the campus. Weapons have been concealed in jumpsuits, overcoats, and baggy gang clothing. Uniforms help to create unity amid diversity by easing ethnic and cultural tensions and encouraging values of tolerance and civility. Uniforms also bridge differences between students and family of widely disparate income levels. Students from modest economic backgrounds are often the target of exclusion or ridicule on account of their dress. Even from the earliest grades, children feel the pressure to conform to idealized standards of dress, which may be beyond their family's means. Uniforms eliminate this pressure and allow attention of students to be directed to learning and growing. Affordable school uniforms can reduce clothing costs substantially, since the average clothing cost per child in schools with a uniform is marked less than that of schools without uniforms. Chosen by each school, school uniforms provide students with a school identity, strengthen school and individual spirit and pride, not unlike the way athletic team uniforms builds team identity, morale, and self-esteem. Instead of feeling alienated or disconnected, students enjoy the sense of belonging that school uniforms bring. I am giving this speech today over this topic because although it might seem like a big deal to many, it really is, based on the fact that it is shown to decrease bullying and reduce distractions in the school environment. It's better for grades 1 through 12 to be able to wear school uniforms. I will go over the benefits and costs associated with wearing a school uniform to school. Then I will go over the statistics shown for wearing a school uniform to school. Finally, I will go over bullying and how it has decreased tremendously since uniforms have been provided. So, the pros of wearing a uniform to school include preventing gang colors, decreasing violence and theft because of clothing and shoes, instilling discipline among students, reducing need for administrators and teachers to be clothes police, reducing distractions for students, instilling a sense of community, and helping schools recognize those who do not belong on campus. The statistics of school uniforms became a hot-button issue in the mid-1990s after several high-profile incidents of violence involving teens and items of clothing made headlines. Former President Bill Clinton led the charge, instructing the Department of Education to issue policy manuals to schools nationwide on how to safely institute a uniform policy. While the movement has been met with criticism by some parents and students, the practice is becoming more acceptable as students across the country continue to jump on the bandwagons. While uniforms have been a staple of private schools, they're increasingly common in public education realms. The percentage of public schools implementing a uniform rule jumped from 13 to 19% between 2003 and 2004, and the 2011 through 2012 academic school years. Younger students are more likely to be affected by uniform policies than their older counterparts. For the 2011 through 2012 school year, 20% of elementary schools required uniforms, compared to just 12% of high schools. In addition to the geographic and economic factors, the size of a school student body plays a part in determining whether enforcing a uniform policy is feasible. Almost 22% of schools with less than 100 students call for uniforms, versus 9% of schools with a total enrollment greater than 1,500. The uniforms to help with bullying. Recent studies have shown that school uniforms help the student's school experience in many ways. They prevent bullying and/or people getting hurt, show children discipline, and help students stay focused. Also, if schools had uniforms, it would prepare students for everyday jobs, because many jobs today require them. Only 23% of public schools in the United States require uniforms in 2014, but that percentage is increasing every year. Roughly 160,000 children miss school daily due to fear of attack and/or intimidation by other students. Because everyone would be dressed the same, students would not be bullied because of their clothing. In addition, uniforms promote safety because if an intruder walked into a school, it would be easier to spot them because they would not be wearing the uniform. Another advantage of uniforms is they show students discipline. School uniforms are very specific in what you can and cannot wear, and if a student is not dressed properly, they would be sent home to change. This rule about uniforms would show and encourage students to follow other rules, seeing how seriously the school enforces the uniform rule. Plus, schools would not have to worry about the fingertip length rule or other violations of the dress code, because the uniforms would be the appropriate length. Finally, the effectiveness of uniforms will be a subject of continuing research as more schools look for solutions to socio-economic problems of attendance, discipline, bullying, student motivation, family engagement, or economic need. And while a school uniform may only be a small part of the solution for all of these ills, they do solve one major issue, the dress code violation. And going back to that fingertip length rule mentioned just a second ago, if I remember correctly, it is where you have 3 fingertips and you put it on your knee, and if your skirt doesn't pass your knee, then it's too short. So that was my speech over school uniforms, and hopefully I was able to inform you of that and persuade you to join my side of encouraging school uniforms. Thank you.